You've seen the red planet. Silent, dusty, empty. Or is it? What if everything we've been told about Mars was just a fragment of the truth? What if buried beneath its crimson soil lies the ruins of something far older and far more advanced than we ever imagined? This is not a science fiction story. It's a possibility, a terrifying, exhilarating possibility that forces us to ask, did Mars once harbor life, not just microbes, but minds? Let's begin not with fantasy, but with photographs. NASA has taken over 1.2 million high-resolution images of Mars, rocks, craters, valleys, dust. But in some of those images, there's something else, a shape, a pattern, a shadow that doesn't belong. In the Cydonia region, there's a formation that, when viewed from orbit, looks unmistakably like a face. Not sort of, not possibly, a face, two eyes, a nose, a mouth, perfectly aligned, symmetrical, staring back at us across space. NASA says it's a trick of light, a natural erosion pattern, nothing more than a Martian Rorschach test. And maybe they're right. But here's the question. Why does Mars have so many of these coincidences? Not far from the face, there's what some call the pyramid cluster. Five-sided sloping structures, geometrically precise, with internal angles not far from the pyramids of Giza. Natural formations? Maybe. But how many natural pyramids do you see on Earth? And here's where things get even stranger. Independent researchers using image enhancement and AI edge detection have analyzed hundreds of Martian anomalies. They find grids, right angles, repeating patterns in rock formations that shouldn't occur naturally, lines etched into the surface, miles long, almost like roads. And then there are the sounds. Yes, sounds. Rovers equipped with environmental microphones have captured faint but recurring frequencies, clicks, hums, pulses. NASA says they're caused by pressure shifts, sand movements, or mechanical noise, but some aren't so sure, because similar frequencies have been detected in deep space, near Europa, Titan, and even Venus. Could it be a signature? And if that doesn't make you pause, consider this. Mars once had an atmosphere, thicker than Earth's, flowing water, oceans, rain. We know this. What we don't know is why it vanished. One day, Mars was alive. The next, it wasn't. And that kind of silence is never natural. Some scientists propose that a massive asteroid strike stripped the atmosphere. Others suggest a solar event, a coronal mass ejection that baked the planet's magnetosphere. But a very few, whisper something else. What if Mars was destroyed from within? An ancient civilization, so advanced, so powerful, that it left behind not just ruins, but scars on the planet itself. Could that explain the oddly symmetrical crater fields? The strange isotope levels in Martian soil, levels consistent with high-energy reactions? Yes, we're talking about the unthinkable, a planetary scale war, or something even worse. And maybe that's why we've been kept in the dark, because the implications aren't just scientific, they're existential. If Mars fell, what about us? What if civilizations don't rise forever? What if they peak and fall and vanish? And what if Mars is the cautionary tale we were never supposed to read? As our rovers crawl over its surface, we may think we're exploring a dead world. But maybe, just maybe, we're walking on the grave of gods. Imagine for a moment that Mars isn't dead, not truly, that beneath its rusted surface, beyond the dust storms and craters, something ancient still waits, not alive, but not entirely gone either. In 2022, a series of infrared scans from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter revealed something strange. Beneath the surface, just 10 to 15 meters deep, there were voids, cavities, chambers, hollow spaces, exactly where none should exist. These anomalies were dismissed publicly as natural lava tubes or collapsed caverns, but the internal geometry? Too regular, too perfect. One formation was shaped like a hexagon, almost identical to structures found at the ancient site of Göbekli Tepe on Earth. Coincidence or echo? Then came the leaks. In late 2023, a collection of documents claimed to be from a retired aerospace contractor appeared on an obscure web forum. They included annotated rover footage, internal communications, and declassified heat maps. One file stood out. MRSPN structure signature match, 78% probability. Translation? The AI system used to detect man-made patterns on Earth had flagged a Martian ridge, 3 kilometers wide, as likely non-natural. No official response was ever given. The forum disappeared within a week. And then there are the stories. Whistleblowers, ex-employees, People who worked on Mars-related projects and came away changed. One man, his voice distorted in an anonymous interview, claimed, open quote, they found something during Curiosity's 2015 expedition, something deep, buried. It wasn't rock. It hummed, close quote. But here's the part that chills you. After that date, Curiosity's course changed. It began avoiding the area. No explanation. And oddly enough, that section of the planet has remained heavily redacted in public imaging datasets. Pixels blurred, coordinates missing. Some call it a glitch, others a cover-up. Why would NASA hide something? Well, think about what disclosure would mean. If we announce tomorrow that Mars once housed a civilization, that they may have built underground cities, that something they left behind is still there, what happens to religion, to politics, to power? What happens to us? Let's take a step back. Why are we so obsessed with Mars? It's dry, hostile, dead, and yet it's our #1 target. We send robots, we scan every inch, we dream of going there ourselves. Why? Because Mars is familiar, too familiar. It has mountains like Earth, valleys, ice caps, and maybe once, oceans. But what if it's not just similar? What if it's connected? A growing theory among rogue scientists and fringe thinkers alike is that humanity didn't begin on Earth, that we were seeded here, or that we escaped from somewhere else, somewhere like Mars. They call it the Exodus hypothesis. According to this idea, Mars was once home to an advanced civilization, but something went wrong, war, collapse, or a global catastrophe. And in their final days, they launched arks, not ships, but code, DNA, the seeds of life itself, not to colonize, but to survive. Could that explain the sudden jump in Earth's evolutionary timeline? The missing link? The inexplicable explosion of intelligence? Are we Martian orphans? And if so, what does that make Mars? Our home? Our grave? Or our warning? Because here's the thing about warnings. They're only useful if you listen. And maybe that's why the data is classified. Maybe that's why the images are blurred. Because someone somewhere already knows that Mars is more than rock and sand. It's a message, and it's not done speaking yet. If this story moved you, subscribe to 777 File for more journeys beyond the known. Like the video, share your theories in the comments, and answer this. Open quote, if Mars was home to a forgotten civilization, what makes you think Earth isn't next?